Alright, what we have is a 2002 RSX Type S. I already went ahead and did a diagnostic. This thing has a dead number 2 cylinder. I pulled the valve cover off just to make sure that the cams are not broken or the valve springs are not broken. And the valves are, shutting, or at least appears to be shutting. So at this point, I'm gonna have to remove the cylinder head gasket, or at this point, I'm gonna have to remove the cylinder head to see if the gasket is leaking or if we have a burnt valve or burnt piston. There's a hole in the piston. That's why the valve cover is already off. Battery's off. First thing I gotta do is let's take the intake, then the intake manifold. We gotta remove the power steering pump. I'm not sure about the alternator. I do need to remove the front timing cover so I can get the chain out and then remove the cam. So let me get the intake. All right, here's a little update. I got the air box out. The throttle cables, I basically removed the bracket, and brackets right there, and I just shoved the cable out of the way. I can't do nothing about the AC line because I don't want to discharge it. You know what? Let me take a 20-30 minute break. I'm going to see if I can find a tripod so I can put this on a tripod. Alright, so folks, I got the power steering pump off, the belt tensioner, and the motor mount bracket. This I'm gonna have to here. It's hitting this, so I do have to raise the motor up. So I guess from the get-go, you might as well support it. I do have to raise the car up, crawl underneath, and you gotta remove from the bottom. You have to remove the pulley, the crankshaft pulley. There's some sensors down there that you got unplugged. That sensor right there. I believe the headers, or this one's exhaust manifold, I can just unbolt it from the top, push it back, and let it dangle. Same thing with the intake. I went ahead and removed this. We gotta remove this, and then we have to remove all the bolts. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this intake won't clear coming out this way because those are studs. So it won't clear to come out this. So there's two ways you can do it. You can remove this, which means you have to remove the alternator and the water pump. But usually in the past, if all I have to do was remove the intake, either intake gasket, starter, or replace it, I just go ahead and pop the studs off. So if you remove the studs, the intake will go straight up and you don't have to remove this. But I have to double check because I think I do have to unbolt it to get to the head anyways. I'm not 100% sure, so let me double check on that and I'll be right back and we'll start removing the intake manifold. Okay, I went ahead and removed the throttle body to gain access to that one bolt. Now for that one in the middle, I suggest you use a magnetic 12 on a wobbly because you're gonna get that bolt loose and it's just gonna drop right where the starter is and it's gonna be hard to get out. What I'm talking about. See see that stud? There's two of them. One there and one underneath this bracket. Now you see as I pull out, see how it's hitting this bracket right here. Now normally what the easiest way to do it, if you don't want to remove that, is take those two studs off. Which, let me go ahead and put the camera down and I'll, you know, remove them and I'll show you. There's one. Not the hose. There you go. There you go. As you can see, this was blocking it. So you have a stud here and a stud here. Where do you go? And you just remove that stud, so instead of it going back and hitting this, it just comes straight up. To remove the stud, I just used the, you know, two nut metal. Basically, I forgot about this manifold bracket bolts, so I jacked it up, put it underneath. Forgot to turn on the camera, sorry. So anyways, now that we got the manifold off, let's work on getting the front cover off. I went ahead and put it on top dead. Here, hold on, I'll flip it. As you can see, the markings right there. It is kind of hard to see, but there's a marking right there that lines up with the timing cover. We need to remove the pulley, the oil cooler, and basically the valve, whatever this thing is called. I believe that's for the VTEC, or not. I think it's all pressure something. So anyways, I'm not sure. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna have to turn the camera off because I don't want to put my phone on the ground and possibly get it stepped on or cracked or dripped on. So I'll come back once I got the pulley and everything else and this thing's ready. Okay. Timing tensioner cover off. Now we just got to remove the tensioner. Like I said, it's still on top dead. So on the tensioner there's 3, 10, 1, 2, 3. This is the chain guide, I'm sorry. Same thing here, the tensioner is down there. It's being held on by two 10mm. It's gonna want to push out when you release it. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the cam, so you need to loosen up in sequence or else you might break the cam. Okay, so the cams are off. Before you pull this thing off, you might want to put zip ties around here, or else this thing can separate and, you know, spring loaded, it'll just pop out and you'll have yourself a mess. So let me go ahead and do that and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Assembly out. It comes out as one hole, so you just pry here, 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 and there's a spot right here I was able to pry onto, and you just slowly work it out. You're gonna see this Allen, it doesn't need to come off. I thought it needed to, but it doesn't. So leave this Allen screw alone. And this is what I'm talking about. You got to keep them zip tight together, because if this thing falls apart, you're gonna have a mess because there's pins and springs in there. This is what locks, you know, your VTEC together, you know, VTEC basically. On this one, it was hard for me to get through there, so I went ahead and did it like this. I actually was gonna try to do it like this also, so it doesn't, you know, come apart like that, because this will slide off this, but it was too hard, you know. I just did it this way and then just keep it together. So it's gonna sit on top of this tote until it's ready to go back on. So yeah, let me go ahead and pull the head off and I'll be right back. All right, the head's ready to come off. You got head bolts 1, 2. So there's 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 10 head bolts each. You look it up on the service manual on the sequence, because you gotta take it off in sequence so you don't warp the head anymore if it is warped, or if it's not, you don't warp it. When I looked it up, I remembered it's basically starting from the outside going in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, so forth. But I suggest you look it up yourself. Don't take my word for it. So let me go ahead and loosen the head, remove the head, and then let's look at it and probably take it to the machine shop. All right, folks, there it is. There's your problem right there. Burnt exhaust valve on number 2.